Good afternoon, everyone. You have joined me today in incredibly atmospheric Sligachan. We had so much rain over the last couple of days. I did have 2 days off in a row and I was hoping to be able to get out lots, but it has been raining. This is the first time it has stopped, and you will see in the level of the water how much rain really has fallen. The reason I've come down to Sligachan today is, one, the waterfalls. So many in such a small area, and it's just ideal for these kind of conditions. There is only one thing that this scene is really lacking, and that is some light. But I'm hoping the combination between the high water levels and the moody, dramatic, atmospheric mountains is going to really pull it off. The chances of today's photography all being black and white is pretty high. Without that light, I don't know, these dark greens, they just seem to become pretty flat. So I'm hoping using the texture of the clouds, the water flow, and maybe some slight highlights breaking through that softbox that is above me right now, it might create some interesting scenes. But there's only one way to find out, and that's by going walking. So I'm down by the river right now. You can probably hear it pretty loud. And I'm using some skills that I used to use a long time ago. I'm not sure if I've let anyone know this, but I spent 10, 11 years as an outdoor instructor. One of the first big qualifications I ever had was canoeing and kayaking. And with that, I had my whitewater certificates. And that meant that I learned how to read rivers, and that's the kind of skill that I'm using now. As I'm looking at the river, I'm reading them rivers. I'm looking where the water is pulling, where it's swishing, where it's turning, and where it's going to make some interest for my composition. And I think I found a pretty sweet little spot, and I'll show you what it is. So what I'm looking at with this composition is I'm looking at the way these bubbles come around this corner here, and you've got these rocks. Now I'm thinking, if I set up my camera, I find a point to set it up where this sort of brings your eye through the scene up into the waterfall, and then hopefully all of this mist that is on the mountain travels off a little bit, and this will hopefully be a nice leading line. But I've got a lot of hopes there, a lot of hopes and dreams. So fingers crossed it all works out. I'm gonna get my camera out, have a little fiddle around and see what I can come up with. So I'm all set up. I've got my medium grad on the front, polarizer on, and I'm going to do a vertical panoramic. The reason why is I really want to capture these bubbles. And now what I'm not sure about, and I'm going to do a little experiment with, is whether to do a fast shutter speed or a slow shutter speed. One for the lines in the water, or the other one to capture the bubbles that are sitting on the surface. Now at the moment, there is just a huge highlight over the mountain. It is just so bright. So I need the clouds to clear a little bit to be able to capture the image that I'm envisioning. So I've shot two images now, both at different shutter speeds. The first image I shot at f11, 1/3 of a second, L10 at 24mm. And then the second image I shot at ISO 100, 24mm, that gave me 1/10 of a second. Now you'll see a subtle difference between both images. One's got a little bit more streaky, one of them's got a little bit better bubbles. Now I'm not sure which one I prefer. So I'm going to do a composite of both of them, and I'll show you both of them at the end. And now all I'm waiting for is these mountains to come out of the clouds. And if I get a good little peak or something like that, this image is done, sorted, in the bag. But I don't know how long I'm going to have to wait to be able to capture that. I've been waiting here now for about 10 minutes, and there is a mountain over there that's actually catching light and has mist. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to abandon this composition, maybe come back later, or maybe already use a shot that I've captured where you can see more of the mountain than you can see right now, and then move over to the next composition. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to capture one more, just in case this is the one that I like, and then I'm going to move on to the next location. So I've got this composition all dialed in. I'm using exactly the same setup as before, but there's a few things that have changed. One being the angle of my tripod. Now, if you've never had a tripod like this, honestly, they are amazing. They are totally worth buying. Sometimes having this really long stem can be really irritating, but it's worth it because you can get angles that you couldn't get with a conventional tripod. So on the front, got my polarizer, my medium grad. I'm shooting it at about 68mm, so I'm quite zoomed in to sort of reduce how much is in my scene. There is only one thing that I'm not too keen on, and that is the fact that the mountain at the top is covered. Now, the light on the side is absolutely magical, and it looks incredible. The scene itself, because I'm shooting it in daylight, I'm getting so much texture in that water, and it really helps guide your eye through. Now, this is a composition I have shot a few times now. I won't go through all the ones that I've shot before. One of them in particular was incredibly beautiful, but hopefully this one will compete. So my settings for this are L10, F11 and 1/3 of a second, and that is giving me some really, really strong results. I'll show you my first image now. And what I'm going to wait for now is just for that peak of the mountain to be out. If I get a little band of cloud going around the midway around the mountain, happy days. I am super happy with that. But if I don't, the mountain top being covered, I don't know, it kind of takes away from what could possibly be. And the mountain top's coming out. Whew, happy days. So I've just finished that final composition over there, and it looked absolutely sweet. That might probably will be the best image of today, for sure. But I did look across and I noticed these little pool of bubbles, and every so often they create this line that leads through, and I'm not sure. But it's a bit of an experiment, and I'm gonna give it a go, and I'll talk you through what I'm doing. So this is what I'm thinking. I've got this little pool of bubbles here, and every so often I get lined up this little spike going through the bubbles, shooting towards the mountain that's just over here. And I think it looks incredible. The light that's on the side of the mountain is just beautiful, but this is such an interesting little way of guiding your eye in. Now, I haven't got it on a super long exposure, but what I have done is I put my camera as low to the ground as I'd like. And then on the back of my camera, this is how I'm looking. So it's looking a bit dark there. I'm gonna just up the exposure. So what I've got is I've got all these bubbles in this pool, and I think that looks great. I've got this corner of the mountain guiding your eye down. Now this big rock here,
I'm not sure. I did put it into a 5.4 crop. I might go back to full frame. That looks much better with that boulder as a full size. And I think that really helps the interest, balanced off with this little tree on this side. So balanced out with this rock and this tree and the mountain as the focal point in the center. So I'm gonna get my exposure back to where I want it to be. So that's 1/4 of a second, f11, L10, and I've zoomed in on the mountain, got it all nice and sharp, and I'm just firing that off. And there we go. This is how it's looking on the back of the screen. I just really like all these little bubbles, and I don't know whether it's gonna work. It might look terrible, but also it might look really, really nice. Just look at all them bubbles there. I just really like bubbles. Today is a good day for bubbles. And then the center peak. Now what's a shame is there isn't a clean line through. So we need slightly more water really for this scene to really come to life. But I feel like I've captured the best from this section of the river so far. I'm going to head up a little bit further. Hopefully the mountains are going to come out of their clouds a little bit more. But most importantly, I hope it's not going to rain, because I have brought an umbrella, but I don't want to get camera wet. So for some reason, this mountain that I've been photographing so far all day is absolutely paying off. I've just found another composition, and one I've never taken before. Hello. Not gonna lie, that scared the bejesus out of me. I just didn't expect it. Big dog. Anyway. So this mountain's really paying off, as I'll show you my next composition. I'm pretty excited about this one. This might compete against my second one, maybe. So this is the scene that I have. I've got this beautiful little cushion wave just here getting formed as it hits this rock, bouncing back up, and that's really guiding your eye into the scene. I've also got these little mini rooster tails over here that are firing up in the air, and it looks great, and that's guiding your eye straight onto this line of rocks here, which then links up with that rock over there, which guides you into the big focal point, the mountain in the background. I've zoomed in a little bit, so I've cut off this ridge line of this mountain, and I'm just using this downslope to help balance against this downslope here, which helps guide your eye straight into the focal point, the main point of the image. Now unfortunately the focal point has started to hide again, so I'm going to wait until it's out of its shroud, and then hopefully I'll be able to capture something really, really nice, something dramatic, something green, something vibrant. Again, I don't know whether this is all going to be in colour or it's all going to be black and white. If it is black and white, I'm sure it'll still look great, especially with that light on the side of that mountain. Now, all it's going to take now is a bit of patience, a bit of time, and hopefully it's going to come out of them clouds. Let's see what happens. So I finally got my settings dialed in, and I've gone for f16. The reason why is I want that slightly longer shutter speed, just to sort of make them lines in the water that little bit more apparent. And f16 is giving me half a second exposure, which is working out really, really well. Unfortunately, the clouds on top of the mountains seem to have got thicker, but I think I've already captured the shot a little bit earlier. I've zoomed into the mountain to get that nice and sharp, that being my focal point. And the composition is looking absolutely amazing. I am super happy with the results so far. But I think that is going to be all from me at Sligachan today. I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. It has been super atmospheric, crazy conditions, super high levels as well. Like, I've not seen it this high since winter. And it looks great, I have to say, it looks absolutely amazing. I am going to carry on out shooting today. I might film another vlog, I'm not sure. But that is going to be all from me for this week. I hope you enjoy the video. If you have, hit that thumbs up button. I hope you like the images. Tell me which one was the best and whether I should have kept it in colour or black and white. But anyway, peace out. I'll see you next week.